It's Dirty Water Golf, and we're on a streak here. This is like our second week in a row, man. I'm here with Andy Farrea. We got a nice streak going. You know, we don't always go every week, but we've had 2 weeks in a row. This is a big deal.
Solid, man. It's a good start.
And it's great to have you. I've been talking about having you on the show for a long time.
I'm jacked up to be here right now. No lie.
It's awesome. This is my good buddy, Andy Farrea. He's the head pro at Newport National. He texted me this morning because you were coming into the golf expo.
Against my better judgment. It was against my better judgment, but I did. I was jacked up on caffeine, and I did it. So.
Well, I'm glad you did. And tonight, the golf show is sponsored by Red Bush, the Bushmills, triple distilled, unbelievable Irish whiskey.
Can I say a little something about Bushmills?
Yeah, you got something.
You know me. I'm a big vodka guy, maybe partial to the occasional mystery shot here and there. When I finish a round of golf, there's nothing I want more than a Bushmills Irish whiskey. And I don't even really like Irish whiskey, but I love Bushmills. That's kind of nuts.
I love it. You can't be more genuine than that.
No, that's from the heart. That's from the heart.
So I'm glad you're excited about our sponsor. I am. Cheers.
Cheers to you, buddy.
Thanks. Great seeing you today.
Absolutely.
And coincidentally, we actually have a lot to talk about because I've been playing Newport National is my home course. I've talked about it on this show multiple times, and I love it with all my heart, and you know that. Yeah. It's a great place. It's actually a track that is accessible to anybody. It's half private, half public. It's in Aquidneck Island in Middletown, Rhode Island. So anyone can go down there and play it. Some of my friends who play it with me were trying to tell me not to talk about it, not to blow it up because it's such a hidden gem. But sorry, we're gonna. It's a great, great track. Andy's been the pro there for quite some time now, and you got a lot to talk about because you're going through some major, some major news down there. I won't, I'll let you talk about it.
Well, the big revolution going on in Newport National. It's under new ownership just in the previous year and a half, 2 years. It's kind of,
and they're doing a great job, by the way.
They are. They're phenomenal. They're committed all the way, and they're wasting no time, which is so awesome. I've been there this is going on. I've been there since 2002, so we're talking 15 years now.
Wow.
It's it kind of, just because the golf course is so good, it grew into like a New England golf destination.
Yeah.
Now, we're targeting national. We want to be a national golf destination, and starting with a driving range, it's finished. It's almost finished, ready to go. We're hoping to have it open by the end of the summer, maybe early fall. Clubhouse not far behind, another 9 holes, and not to mention that the golf course is in, like I said, 15 years I've been there. It's in some of the best condition I've ever seen it.
This is a course where I think a lot of people who have played it have said, "Are you kidding me? This course is as good as any private course." It looks like you feel like you're in Ireland. It is in perfect condition. The fairways are manicured like you've never seen anything. The tee boxes sometimes are absolutely pristine. The greens are beautiful. The course is challenging. And everyone's like, if this place had a driving range, it would be off the charts. So this is really big news. For anyone who's played Newport National or knows about it, anyone can vouch that it's incredible, but the fact that you guys have a driving range coming is actually really big news.
Oh, it's huge news, and and I've seen the driving range. Like I was telling you earlier today, went out there, and it's fantastic. It's dead level. It looks like, the first thing I thought of was like, wow, this looks like a PGA Tour caliber driving range. It's got the trees in the background for the targets that anyone who's watched PGA Tour pros hit balls in the range, they're always aiming for the trees and big targets in the background. It's really set up just so well, and I just can't wait for it to open. It's so exciting.
Yeah, and the land there is an interesting story because I've asked guys, you were always telling me that I would ask you, why is it in always such great condition? I'm just like stumbling over my words because it's one of those things that blows my mind. And the greenskeeper is such a great greenskeeper, but also it's built on amazing land. This is an old orchard. Yeah. Vineyards are just down the hill. So you guys not only put a driving range in, but there's even more. You've got another 9 holes coming.
Yeah, the next 9 holes is really special. It's I actually had the opportunity to walk it in the fall with the designer, Drew Rogers, who is a disciple of Arthur Hill's. Yeah. And it's spectacular. It matches in right with the other 18 holes. Sometimes you see when you add 9 holes in situations, they don't really share the characteristics of the other 18. This is just a chip off the old block from the original 18, and it's really special. It's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait till it's done and I can see it.
So is the game plan to incorporate the third 9 as a completely separate 9 holes, or is it one of those things where you could either tee off on, the front 9 and the third 9, the second 9 and the third 9. Like, how are you gonna? What's the thought process on that?
The great thing about it is those decisions haven't been made quite yet, but I think it has the fluidity that you could do anything you wanted. You could make it a separate 9, or you could just flow in all 3 9s because they're all championship and they're all good.
They're all championship. So it's going to be just as high quality.
Absolutely. It's like I said, I chip off the old block from the original 18.
That's amazing.
So, that's what's so awesome about it. And I mean, I'm chomping at the bit to get this thing done, to see this thing on paper. Like, I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, so let's talk about some of our favorite holes, because we've got plans for this summer with Dirty Water Golf to come to Newport National, come to some other public courses around the area, and highlight some of the best holes and the hardest shots or the key shots you got to hit. Yeah. So let's talk about a little bit on the front 9. You know, just some of the key shots, key holes on the front 9 from your expert opinion.
You know, you get through the first hole, which is a par 5, and we always talk about the par 5s.
Right.
You got to take advantage of the par 5s in Newport National. You have to. You got to score there. But right when you walk off the first green, which is a very manageable par 5, the average player has a good chance to make a birdie on the first hole. But then you get to the second hole, and Newport National has some big yardages on the scorecard. This yardage isn't so big. It's only about 400 yards. You look at it and you go, oh, this hole isn't much. But boy, is that hole tough.
Yeah.
You got a big tee shot ahead of you. You got to carry a good distance to get to the fairway. Then you have trouble on the right, trouble on the left. You got a tiny green that slopes to the back. It's very tough to land it on. The green's fast. It's just, I always say, if there was a stroke play event there, I think it would be one of the higher stroke averages in the entire tournament. It's a really tough hole.
I couldn't agree more. I feel like I've played the course so many times that when I'm teeing off on the first hole, if I get my tee shot in the fairway, I'm like, all right, I got to really be thinking birdie here, because I'm probably thinking bogey on 2.
2 has bogey, double bogey written all over it. And this, for me, who plays the golf course as much as I do, I'm just like, please, God, let me par this hole and move the heck on out of here. Like,
and then you're going into a really cool section of the course, which I think also helps speed of play, to be honest with you, because I think it jams up a little bit on the next hole. Yeah. But I think then you start to flow after that. So tell us a little bit about 3 and 4.
Well, you got back-to-back par 3s, but very interesting holes. 3 is one of my favorite par 3s I've ever played. It's a great-looking tee shot. You got a nice tree line for the backdrop, elevated green that's poked up. It looks like something that was carved out by hand. It really looks unbelievable. And but it's tricky. Downwind, you're hitting about a 175-yard shot to a green that's elevated. So hitting a low club 6, 7, 5 iron, it could catch that green and bounce right off the back and leave you with a very tough up and down. Then you get over to 4, which is about 20 yards shorter, but it's going into the wind just because it goes the completely opposite direction, which you end up hitting basically the same club you just hit off 3. So it's kind of a cool concept of the course.
It's funny you say that. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, I'm pulling out the same club.
And it's 25 yards shorter.
Totally different.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The wind is a major factor at Newport National, which makes it really, a tough course to navigate.
It does. And with the wind being into your face on 4, and yet, like you're saying, you're 20 yards shorter, you have to have the wherewithal to grab that same club, and go and not think, well, I'm 20 yards shorter here. I can't be hitting the same club that I just hit on the last one. No, you got to have the wherewithal to grab that club and to go after it and trust that the wind is going to knock it down where it's supposed to be, because it will. And you know as well as I do, it will knock it down.
I do. And after those 4 holes, I'm usually a little bit stressed out. I'm having a good time. I know we have a great rest of the day. And it seems to me, maybe it's because you're my buddy, but the cart girl usually comes through on the 5th hole right there.
She strategically tends to come through after those stressful 3 holes. We don't want anyone to be too stressed out for that first 3. So we're going to bring in a pleasant cart girl to kind of turn your day around for you in a hurry. Because you're coming into a par 4 that's drivable, and it's a very...
Cheers to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers to a drivable par 4. You need one after that. Thank you, Bushmills. But,
I love the par 4. Short par 4, but it's tricky.
Oh, yes.
You can get hung up in traps. You're going to blow it over the green into the fescue. I mean, great hole.
A lot of places to get in trouble on that hole, and it's kind of that dynamic of Newport National where you can't read the scorecard and judge holes off what you read off the scorecard as far as distance and handicap, because there's so much more to it, which I think is the coolest part about Newport National.
Right. And then you go into 6, which I told you once, we used to sit around and name the holes. Our obsession with the course was such that we would sit around and be like, what should we call hole 6, hole 5, and hole 6, which is the number 1 or number 2 handicap.
Number 1. That's number 1 on the card.
We would call it batten down the hatches, because when you stepped on the tee box, you knew you had a long way to go, but now you got this incredible wind in your face, and you're like, how am I ever going to get there? Is this a par 7?
Oh, boy. The 6th hole is just the start, too. So you step up to, from the men's tee marker, 440 yards, plays typically dead into the wind.
Right.
But it's reasonably open on the left side. So, like Arthur Hills and Drew Rogers, their intent when they designed the golf course was to leave you a side of the course that you could miss to.
Right.
And, that hole happens to be the left side. So you get to step on one, hit that hard draw into the wind. You got a long second shot into a big green. And I love your terminology of batting down the hatches because you play this long par 4, you step off that green, and you kind of brushing your brow going, Jesus, thank God that's over. And now you just step up to the tee of another 450-yard par 4 on 7. So you're not out of the woods yet.
No, you really don't get a break. And one of the coolest things about 7 is when you step on the tee box, you see it's a long hole. But you all of a sudden get a break from the wind because you've got all these pines on your right which block the wind. And you think there's no more wind.
It's like the devil's greatest trick at Newport National is when you step up to the 7th tee box and you think there's no wind. Because I do it all the time. I go, wow, the wind really died down.
Right.
I've been playing there for 15 years.
Yeah.
The wind has not died down. You're just behind some of the only trees on the golf course. And boy, is that wind usually howling. But the saving grace on hole 7 is obviously the dog leg left.
Yeah.
You can, if you're aggressive, you can cut off some of that left side. But get too aggressive, and now you're hitting a 180-yard shot out of heavy fescue grass to a very tough green, which I think
tough green to approach.
Can we agree that for a 400-plus yard par 4, one of the tougher greens to land your second shot on?
Especially if the pin's in the back.
Absolutely.
That pin's in the back, you could hit a really great shot, and you find yourself rolling off the back of a very firm, great green.
Boy.
Great green.
It is a great green. It's a great hole. I love playing 7.
Yeah.
7's a hole I could just replay over and over because you never seems you hit the same shot twice coming in. You're hitting a different shot every single time.
And if you're scoring, right, whatever your relative scoring, measurement is, but if you're scoring after 7, tell me you're not all geeked up going into 8.
If you're scoring after 7, you're in for the round of a lifetime because 8 and 9 are literally tailored to save your day. We want to bring that guy back who's made his bed through the first 7 holes and writing himself up. There's legitimate opportunities for the average player to finish birdie on 8 and 9. Would you agree?
I would, but it's very hard to chase that down. I mean,
it seems the more you convince yourself that you got to do it, the harder it gets.
Definitely.
But 8 is only about 15,
it's a fun
20.
Hole.
Oh, it's a great hole. And it's only about 15, 20 yards longer than the par 5s you just played. Yeah. I mean, the par 4s you just played, but it's a par 5. So, and you're heading downwind to an Arthur Hills rectangular green, which is rare to find.
Right.
But relatively easy to hit it on. But there's heavy rough, there's bunkers, there's plenty of opportunities to make a mess out there.
Absolutely. Before I talk about 8 anymore, Joe, would you put up the picture of the guys walking onto the 7th green? I can tell you, I almost can tell this is a staged shot because these guys look way too relaxed to be walking up on the 7th green.
They might be the 4 most relaxed human beings in history to be approaching the 7th green at Newport National.
But that gives you an idea of how beautiful it is. I mean, this hole also, when you step on the tee at the 7th green, you are looking out into the ocean and the bay. It's gorgeous.
So good.
And after you finish that hole, we were talking about 8, and, I love 8, and especially like you just said, you really want to try to capitalize on the score there. And when you get to that green, it's a square green. You don't see a lot of square greens. Very classy, cool feel. So hopefully you're scoring on that hole. And then you're going to finish your round on 9, which is another hole, which is pretty manageable for an average to good player. I mean, just pop one out there into the fairway, get it over the trap, and then, your approach shot, and hopefully walk away with a par or birdie before you go to number 10, which gives a lot of people headaches.
9 kind of lulls you to sleep for what you're about to head into. Any complacent shot will be penalized at Newport National, but you grind through 8 and 9, you probably make par if you're hitting the ball semi-decently.
Right.
Now you come to 10, which is one of the trickier golf holes I've ever played in my life throughout all the places I've played, competitively, non-competitively, whatever. It's another one of those.
Your focus picks up for 10.
You have to. And you're looking at the scorecard, you're saying 380 yards. What is so tricky about 380 yards? How could it be that tricky? It is that tricky.
It is.
You got about a 200-yard tee shot to the end of a hazard, where you're facing the end of a hazard, and then you have about a 180-yard shot to carry about 150 yards worth of hazard. And the wind is usually blowing hard right to left.
Yep.
Very tricky wind to a green that's elevated. That
with a swale in it.
With a swale in it that drops, 4 to 5 feet? and it's just extremely hard to hold that green. The green's elevated. The ball tends to bounce right off the back or end up way short, and then you're faced with a near impossible up and down. But like Arthur Hills and Drew Rogers did so well when they designed the golf course, they give you an area where if you can't hit the great shot to knock it on the green, bail out to that easy area, chip it up onto the green, you'll have your par putt. Maybe you make a par, at worst you make a 5. So what they do so well.
Some people do that?
Can you believe there are smart people that actually do that? I've never been one, so I wouldn't know. But they do. Arthur, I will say that for Arthur Hills and Drew Rogers, they do a phenomenal job on every hole at Newport National to make it playable for players of all levels. They give you that area where, hey, you can't hit the amazing shot, don't be a hero. Play it to this area, get your par putt, maybe make your 4 or 5, and get on out of there.
Oh yeah, and you're in for a great time when you make the turn. After you play 10, it might be a challenging hole that can give you fits. But once you get on the tee box at 11, you see the water again, and you're about to play some amazing holes.
Oh boy, and that 11th tee is my favorite place to stand.
Yeah.
When I'm headed out to the golf course to do some rangering or just take a peek at what's going on, I drive right to that 11th tee box and stand up and just look around and kind of admire and say, life is good. Because it is beautiful out there in midsummer. You can see the bay. You see the whole golf course. It really is tremendous. And you're started for a great loop of golf.
Yeah, and one of the holes that is in that early loop on the back 9 is the 13th hole. Can we take a look at the 13th hole real quick, Joe? So that's where's that from? Is that from the?
That's actually from the 12th fairway.
That's from the 12th fairway, right?
Yeah.
I love that angle. When you're on the 12th, 12th's a great little uphill, short par 4, and you're looking over to 13, seeing where the wind's doing on that day, which is. What is that? Is that like 5 o'clock in the morning because there's no wind?
Yeah, you know what? That really is. We trick everyone out. Say the wind never blows at Newport National, but that is probably at about 5 in the morning.
So that's a great hole. Then after that hole is probably one of my favorite holes on the course. I mean, I've told you before what my favorite hole is, but hold on one second on that. 15, we used to call Wall Street because you're on the tee box and you've got this beautiful cobblestone wall.
It's a great 5-par.
Right across your path, and oh my God, what a hole that is.
It's a great 5-par, it really is. And like you're saying, the stone wall right in front of you, just gorgeous sight line. You're hitting to a straightaway, elevated green. It's a tremendous look. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't seen it, but how special it looks when you're sitting on that tee box. It's really good.
And the wind's a little behind you. So how many times have you been playing with a guy who's all pumped up because he blasted a ball out there?
Hit a ball in the water on 13, and he gets to 14. He just wants to pump one. There's a little anger in the swing, and boy, you can hammer one on 14 because it's usually howling downwind.
Yeah, but you don't always walk away from the hole with the score you want because the approach keeps getting tighter and tighter.
Like so many times at Newport National, you hit one great shot, you are far from home free. You got to stay on your toes. You got to keep your competitive nature, and boy, you need to hit a couple more good ones to get out of there with a par.
It's a great hole. And then 15. We've been talking about 15, you and I.
It's the most underrated hole in the golf course, bar none.
It is unbelievable.
It's awesome.
And when are you usually playing 15? Usually afternoon, right? I mean, a lot of us are.
Yes.
And the wind is pumping in your face.
Pumping.
And that makes it a lot harder. It's a beautiful hole, and I think if the wind was at your back, you would have such a different approach to that hole. You would just pump one over the wall, over the trees, over the trap. But with that wind in your face, you're just like aiming one into that little area of the fairway.
It's a game changer. And not to mention, the stone wall that runs around the left side of the hole is an integral part of the golf course.
Yeah, huge
so
part.
That's just as good as a hazard, being right there. So as much as you're trying to stay away from the trouble on the right, you're trying to avoid the stone wall on the left, it all of a sudden becomes a narrow tee shot.
Well, I try to hit it as hard as possible to get a good bounce.
Don't we all? Just hit the wall as hard as you can and hope it ends up in the fairway. But no, it's really and when you're coming into that final stretch of 4 holes, 15, 16, 17, and 18, for me, you're talking about 4 of the greatest 4 finishing holes you'll find in the area. As far as my New England golf I've played, it's very tough to find me 4 consecutive holes that make you think and make you work like those 4 holes do. And 15, when all said and done, is probably the easiest and shortest one. But boy, you're not home free at all on 15.
No.
You're really not.
15's got a very tricky green.
It really is.
It's amazing how it balances fair and challenging all in one thing, and the experience and the fact that the course is not pretentious, and you guys have now upped your game with 2 carts going around and cart girls serving drinks. It's a great vibe, man. No, it's a terrible place. Don't go. No. But anyway, so 16 is one of the 16. Like after
hardest
15,
par 3
after
I've ever 14,
played. 15, now you got 16.
Oh, 16
it's in your kitchen. It's in my kitchen.
16 is in the entire New England region's kitchen, I believe. Anyone who's played 16 knows how hard it is.
Yeah.
But then again, sticking to the Arthur Hills and Drew Rogers theme, hit the ball to the right spot. It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
So, you find the spot on that hole. It's the right side. You hit it down to the right side. It's about 220 yards. It's always downwind. Tiny green, which I say all the time. I think it would be hard to hit that green from 140 yards. Never mind 220. So, but you play it down to your right, you chip it up on the green, and you have a par putt every single time. I've seen you do it 150 times.
Thank you.
Probably take money from me a few times, too.
Well, if you see me do it 150 times, that's probably all you've seen me do. I don't think I've ever hit that green. But, no, you're right. But it's hard mentally to say to yourself, I don't even want to hit the green. I'm going to hit it down to this little area. We all have pride. So we end up trying to hit the green, and then what happens? We bake one into the trap on the left, which might as well be in hell.
You might as well just be, one of those old graveyards that just say R.I.P. on it when you go into that. When you go into that,
no, you don't want to be there.
You do not want to be there.
All right. So if you get out of there, okay. Usually bogey, par bogey, get out, okay. Now you're going to the 17th hole, which is my favorite hole in the course.
Ultimately, I think it should be the number one handicapped hole on the golf course. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Pretty special hole.
Yeah.
It needs an awesome tee shot with a draw, trouble on the right, bunker on the left, ginormous bunker on the left, which stretches roughly 150 yards, maybe more.
Legitimately long hole with the wind in your face.
450 yards in the card, into your face, and to a green that is big. It's a big green.
And protected.
But it's fast, and it's undulating, and it's tough.
Yep.
And, that's a hole where if you can get out of there with a 4, boy, that feels like a birdie, doesn't it?
Oh, feels like an eagle.
It feels good.
And I've said to people, after you've played 17 holes at Newport National, you feel like you've played 18.
Oh, boy, you're beat up.
That stretch of 4 holes we just talked about makes you feel like you've played 18 holes. So no matter what's going on, no matter where your match is, or no matter where your day is, when you go up to 18, you're kind of like, oh, let's play one more hole today. But it's actually the 18th hole. You have to play one more.
Which it's the 18th. It's another hole where you walk up and you just finished 17. You're depending on how you're hitting it. If you're taking the Drew Rogers Arthur Hills route, you're in good shape. You're looking at you're shooting your decent round. But if you've been taking chances all day, you're probably pretty beat up.
Yeah.
And you get to the 18th tee and it lulls you to sleep. Doesn't look like much is there, but you're not home yet.
No. But that's a great hole. And my favorite part of that hole, because it's a good golf hole. It certainly is. But it's a great finishing hole because you've got the huge American flag on the right coming up.
Beautiful view.
The clubhouse, the Adirondack chairs, and a green that is actually manageable. So if you can just get the ball out there in play and get something up near the green, when you're on the green, you're like, you know what? I got a 20-foot putt or a 10-foot putt or a 30-foot putt. I got a chance this thing. It's not a crazy green. It's
very well designed to set up our players and our guests to take something home with them. You can take, whether it be a long par putt, whether it be a long bogey putt to maybe have your match, whatever it may be, it gives everybody an opportunity to take something home with them. And then, hey, you make the putt, you miss the putt, you walk off the 18th green, and 10 minutes down the road, there's the number one summer destination in New England, just calling your name. I mean, what's better?
No, that is the best part. When you're walking off that course, you know that you've got a great rest of the day in front of you.
Oh, boy. And night.
Yeah, and we've got a great picture because I was just down in Florida with these guys for the Honda Classic, which is sponsored by Gosling's Rum. And I ran into this group of characters called the Black Seal Mafia.
I know those guys.
Yeah, you do, huh?
I do know those guys.
Those are Newport guys, aren't they?
Those are Newport guys.
I'm a Newport
guy. I know those guys.
I think we got guys there representing Midtown Oyster.
Oh, boy.
The Landing.
Yikes.
Some great spots. So tell us a little bit, after you finish your round at Newport National, what are some of the best places to hit downtown?
Well, you've just hit the nail right on the head. I mean, you leave Newport National, and you've had a few drinks on the deck, maybe had a cigar out on the Adirondacks. You've kind of soaked in the afternoon. Now it's time to head downtown.
Now you're talking.
Midtown Oyster, what a spot to start the night, huh? They have a great drink list. And, boy, outside on that outside patio overlooking Thames Street, just watching the flow of the action come in for the night on the town.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot of flow.
Oh, boy.
A lot of action.
Oh, is there ever? I wouldn't know, because I'm in bed that time of night getting ready for work in the morning.
Serious,
But that is a special moment when you're watching the flow, when you're literally watching the trouble come in for the night.
Oh, it's so great.
It is.
And it's such a great feel, with the harbor and just the water crashing up against the whatever restaurant or bar you're in. Just kind of slapping up against the side of the building. What a great vibe.
Oh, it's if you're gonna stay north of the Mason-Dixon line, where better to be than Newport in the summer? It's the best.
I know. We didn't even get to the weather bubble, but we'll talk about that another time. Let's actually talk about the Honda a little bit. I was down at the Honda Classic in Florida, and it really, everything we're talking about and Florida got me thinking about summer, Andy.
Oh,
I mean, I can't
telling
wait.
me, bud.
So when I was out at the Honda Classic with Gosling's Rum, they had this thing called the Bear Trap. And Joe, I don't know if you got a picture of the Bear Trap, but this is a 4,000 square foot building they put between the 16th green and the 17th tee. You're literally raised 20 feet above the action, and you got like 6 bars serving like Gosling's drinks, whatever you want.
Sounds like heaven.
And they wrote about it in the New York Post. It's probably the second biggest party on the PGA Tour. We ran into Jacoby Brissett, the backup quarterback for the New England Patriots, and Malcolm Gosling. Do you guys have that picture? I mean, great guys. I mean, Malcolm Gosling Jr. basically ran this event in terms of the Gosling side of things and the Bear Trap. Put on a great event. Everyone had an absolute blast. And Jacoby showed up. He's a Florida. He was a Florida guy. Yeah, NC State guy. But he was with his some Florida State buddies, and he grew up not too far from PGA National.
Oh, he's at home down there.
Played high school around there, and he came by and he said hi to us, and we had him take a picture with Malcolm. Couldn't be a nicer guy.
That's awesome.
And they had a blast. We all had a blast. It was an awesome event.
Sounds awesome.
And I just want to thank those guys because when I was down there, I had an awesome time, and it was great to see Ricky Fowler win. You know, he kind of washed away the people saying he couldn't finish. He had a lead, and he
got it done.
Finished it. And I'm telling you, we were up on the 16th, above the 16th hole, watching him make some incredible putts. So awesome.
He can play.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you were also, though, speaking about Florida, you were in Florida recently.
I was in Florida recently.
Tell us about that.
I had the opportunity to go down and hang out and play some golf at Stream Song Resort.
Oh, I've heard that's incredible.
And boy, this place is good. I mean, I'd never even really heard of it much. And, obviously, New England winters, Newport National's covered under snow. If I'm going to be somewhere playing golf other than Newport National in the summer, I'm going to be at Stream Song Resort. My eyes were blown wide open at this place. I had no idea how good this place was.
So, do you have a picture of Stream Song here, guys? So, in terms of is it typical Florida golf? Is it, a lot of water, a lot of Bermuda grass?
The golf courses they're challenging, and just like Newport National, very challenging, but extremely fair. Designed with the same type of mentality of they'll give you a side of the golf course that you're able to hit the ball on, so you're not losing golf balls all day. I played college golf in the South, played a lot of Bermuda greens. I've never played Bermuda greens that were rolling 11 and a half, 12 on the stimp meter until I got here.
Really?
These things are glass, and they're so good. And the brand new hotel they built is so contemporary in design. It's beautiful. The service is phenomenal. Like I said, the golf courses are second to none. The golf service is second to none. It's very good down there. I was really just blown away with how good it was.
That's awesome. So we're talking a little bit about Florida, talking about Newport National. I can't believe it's just March. We only got 1 month left, month and a half left, dude. We're so close.
I'm chomping at the bit to tee it up at Newport National with you.
It's been great, dude. I'm excited. You got me all geeked up. I can't wait for the golf season. Thank you to Bushmills, Red Bush. We are, don't worry. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Thank you for having me on.
It's going to be a great summer.